Sporting their comfortable footwear, George, Jason, and Bob come prepared for a day on their feet. And that means a day off from dress shoes and work in the office.
Part of my job is planning, so I plan to have good footwear for today.
What do you normally wear?
Dress shoes.
But despite the comfy shoes, some tasty snacks, and a warm, sunny day, some say they'd rather be working, not walking the picket line with 27,000 others across BC.
We want to get the attention of the government and of the public of the need to settle a contract that expired on March the 31st. We've been bargaining since January of this year. We haven't had a strike in 24 years. We're not strike happy.
But the BC Government and Service Employees Union, along with the Professional Employees Association and the Canadian Office and Professional Employees Union, have walked off the job for the day. A one-day province-wide strike aimed at getting the government to deliver on what the unions are calling a real wage increase.
Our last wage increase was 3.5 years ago, April the 1st of 2009. We've lost over 5% of our income to inflation over that term, and we don't want to lose any more.
The unions are looking for a 3.5% wage increase in the first year, followed by a cost of living increase in the second year. Now, the government has offered 3.5% over 2 years, but that offer has now been taken off the table and negotiations have stalled.
If they give us the cold shoulder again, we'll meet next week and decide what to do next.
For its part, the province says it has, quote, made a fair and reasonable offer that would have seen modest wage increases from within our budget. And it goes on to say it will not add to the deficit or ask taxpayers for more money to pay unaffordable wage increases. But on top of wages, the Professional Employees Association says this strike is also about what it calls deprofessionalizing the public service.
We've seen a huge decrease in the number of professionals. In the last 10 years, 26% of professionals have gone. In the last 2 years alone, it's 10%. And this is actually an escalating trend.
And Alan Gallup, the Labour Relations Officer with the PEA, says government hasn't been filling vacant positions, and if it does, it's with non-professionals.
We're very concerned about that for public safety, for public health and welfare, but also for the sustainability of our natural resources. Without professionals and scientists, do we really have the knowledge that we need to make public policy decisions?
But after months of vocal job action by another union, the BC Teachers Federation, how effective will this one-day strike be?
Both are trying to minimize the impacts on the general public while finding pressure points that can pressure the government. And that's a really important thing for unions these days.
And Lawson says handling this strike is also going to be a balancing act for the government.
On the one hand, there are the pressures that I think it would be facing to show a strong position towards the union. They have to also realize that a really hardball position towards the union will encourage voices within the union to say we need to go flat out for a very traditional kind of strike.
And the BCGEU says that isn't out of the question for the long term. In the meantime, it's looking at what options it could take in the short term.
You can have target strikes that identify specific areas, which are pressure points, if you will. You can also apply measures like overtime bans.
So it's still unclear when both sides will get back to the bargaining table, a question that isn't being answered today. In Victoria, I'm Nikki Ewanyshyn.